All right, so we've been having some off the mic conversation about whether or not we were going to talk about this topic, and we decided that we're going to talk about it. So recently, Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman and Molly were having a conversation on First Take about Major League Baseball viewership, the age of the average viewer, whether or not there is hope in attracting younger viewers with the current crop of talent. And Jake has the article about the story pulled up right now. Can you tell us what happened, Jake?
So Stephen A. Smith has taken public thumbing for 24 hours. I guess this happened recently, the past, like yesterday or something. After making offensive comments about Shohei Ohtani, who is like recently like one of the up and coming like Major League Baseball players, who's supposedly like gunning for Babe Ruth's like
record.
He's killing it, dude. He's like he's pitching and he has like great stats in pitching and batting. But so on Monday's First Take, the hot taker said, "But when you talk about an audience gravitating to the tube or to the ballpark to actually watch you, I don't think it helps that the number one face is a dude that needs an interpreter so you can understand what the hell he's saying in this country."
Thoughts? What you think, J.Carr?
Can you repeat that? That last
said,
part.
Can you repeat the quote, please?
Yeah.
So the what the hell makes it sound very insensitive to the fact
But
that
when you talk about an audience gravitating to the tube or to the ballpark to actually watch you, I don't think it helps that the number one face is a dude that needs an interpreter so you can understand what the hell he's saying, comma, in this country.
Oh, yeah. That's how Stephen would be talking. But yeah, this sounds bad.
That sounds really bad.
He always like, what the hell? He always like saying,
I don't give a damn.
Well, I think he's kind of missing. I think he's kind of missing the point of like. You would think that the goal within Major League Baseball would be international, not just be some American like Field of Dreams pastime like that your granddaddy watched. You know. Like,
I think particularly
like
because
why does it
the
need
thing
to be-
that people hang their hats on when it comes to sports is the inclusivity of it all.
Yeah.
That as long as you're good, it is a meritocracy.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's what people always say about sports. As long as you're good, it is a meritocracy. That sports are fair for that reason. Not everybody is talented. Not everybody works as hard as everybody else, etc. And the results basically show based upon your level of talent and the work that you put in, and like coming to a perfect storm, so to speak, right? That very thing that people complain about in most of life isn't really a thing in sports. You know?
Because you're either there if you're good or not there.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Well, I don't know. I think that they need to, if MLB is concerned, he might not have a bad, like, point for the kind of fan base the average person in America is, I guess, or maybe even just a comment on the average like baseball watcher. But I think that.
Might be a comment on how racist the average baseball watcher is.
Yeah, it kind of is too.
Maybe.
But I will say that he doesn't. It's not a bad point to not to like go ahead and figure out a better way to translate faster or like make that not as awkward. If that maybe he's not. I haven't watched it, so I don't know if it takes away the fact that. So I mean, there could be. But the way he said it was very like cold to the fact that like, it's almost like why didn't he just learn how to speak American, but
it
MLB,
really gave
very like.
Did he say this in like a back room or was this like on?
This was on the air. This was during First Take.
On the air.
This was during First Take.
But he
This was
doesn't
a
mince
talking
words. I think
point.
he specifically meant what he said. I mean, and I think that they care very much about. You don't think that they sit around and talk about the same shit he just said?
I agree.
You come the fuck on.
So I will say this.
Not to give it,
make an excuse for it.
No. I mean,
I think that he meant what he said, and I don't think he meant to sound racist, but I think it was racist and also xenophobic.
Yeah.
I think that the difference, race is what you look like. Xenophobic is where you from.
Your language. Like.
So, I think that what makes it racist is that there are people who call people Asian, right? I think that Japanese people call themselves Japanese.
Right. Yeah, Asian is like a really all
right.
Like it
and though that person that said Asian is not attempting to be a racist, you are saying all y'all look alike.
Yeah, but you think like Russians call themselves Asian? You think people?
Russia's in Europe, right?
Some, I think, like most of Russia is like over Asia.
In Asia,
like,
I think.
Like Mongolia.
But they don't just think of. But conveniently, when you say we're American, it's like we're talking like true. American, but it's like. You think that people in Brazil are like they do, but you almost don't think of like Americans conveniently don't like to think that people in Mexico or people in Brazil are actually like in America. It's like a different place almost.
Yeah, we even call it Central America.
Yeah, it's like not even. It's like we're in America here, and there's also like Central and Canada is not even. That's just a part of America we just didn't want to take over, really. And that's how. No, I mean that's how people, right?
Too cold. Fuck
that.
Cold.
Funny.
Fuck all that.
It's something we didn't want to take over. We didn't feel like it. You funny.
Now we're good.
No,
y'all gotta have all those moose.
We straight. We good.
Yeah, dude. Like they're up here, bro.
I don't like bears that much anyway.
Yeah,
but,
dude. If there was some kind of tasty ass bear up there, he would have taken over. Like if they had like chocolate milk, like Willy Wonka shit, we would have fucking something that made a bunch of money. I don't know.
I hear you.
I think of France and a bunch of
it? I want to say it was George Carlin. Maybe. He said, if the Middle East didn't have oil, we would look at it like we look at Africa. And he said that like people intervene, quote fingers intervene, in places that have shit that they want. If you don't have shit that they want, and they don't really give a shit.
I don't know enough about it, but I know we have Alaska, and then like it was like, I
say that to say this. The following, there was a I'll be throwing it, just trying to see what's up. So there was a recent incident where the United States men's basketball Olympic team lost a game to the Nigerian national team. And Stephen A. was talking about this on ESPN, and he was mispronouncing the names of the players and basically doing the thing that racist people do regarding Africans, where they make everything sound like primitive and inconvenient to even attempt. And they were offended. They put up a video saying that they were offended. No apologies were made. Stephen A. apologized for one and not the other, even though the issue with both is that they are racist and xenophobic. Racist because it is based upon how people look. Xenophobic because it is also based on things like language and where someone is from. Thoughts?
I never heard him have a problem with pronouncing anybody else's name. Even like not like, stuff I can't pronounce in terms of like Giannis's last name and stuff. They'll remember when he thinks it's important. I think it's specifically to
I mean, there's a reason why people call Antetokounmpo the Greek freak, right? It's because they couldn't say his name.
I mean, how hard would it be for him to learn like what the 5 names?
I agree with you.
You know what I mean? So I think it's specifically, and whether he means to or not, it's specifically a way to minimize and marginalize.
Yeah.
It's basically to kind of downplay. But yeah, it sounds like that thing, just.
It's rude as shit.
It's like calling words names not real. Like, yeah, it does sound exactly the same. Like, that's not even a real name. That's not a real word. It's like, well, who else is inventing words and names around here?
Every word is made up.
Like,
Shout out to
like,
Lakeith Stanfield on Atlanta. He's like, that's a made up word. Every word is made up. Stay woke.
Yeah. Until enough people use it, and then it becomes a word that is adopted. That's how it works. So same thing with names. I think that it's somebody needs to just sit him down and be like, listen, your show, like.
I feel like, and I'm not one of those people who's like, well, you get to say the N word, why can't I? No, motherfucker, I do get to say the N word, and you better the fuck not. I look at it like, some people may look at it like Stephen A. should be able to make fun of black people because he's a black person. To that, I'd say, these are not black people. These are Nigerian people. And now that sounds ridiculous, right? The reason why people in America call themselves black is because they do not know where they're from. People who are Nigerian, who are from Cameroon, people who are from Eritrea or Ethiopia, they don't call themselves black. They might do that if they're like trying to be agreeable, but they call themselves Nigerian. They call themselves Kenyan.
What about Haiti?
They call themselves Haitians. Do you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'm just saying they all came from. They didn't fuck. You know what I'm saying?
But they don't. They call themselves Haitians. No, I do understand what you're saying. Like the people on islands. The people on the islands are there because of the result of the slave trade.
It's but there's a lot of Haitians are black. Like, yeah.
But the thing about it is, there is a cultural identity that comes along with being Haitian or like Dominican, even though you might be black, or Puerto Rican or Cuban.
That's inherent to that one area, whereas black is inherent to America.
Those things are cultural. And
so he's kind of speaking on shit that's not really the same as black. Like, that's what. So
Stephen A. Smith is a black person because he's from here. He's from New York, but he's from here. Mm-hmm. He grew up here. He grew up with American culture. Now, American culture is an amalgamation of all of these different things. And within American culture, there are subcultures. But black people in America have a very specific experience. And because of that, we don't call ourselves African American. That's something that other people came up with in order to diminish a continent as if it's a country. So there are some people...
Never called yourself POCs?
I do not say that. I don't say that. But I get it. I understand it. I think it's in order to like squeeze groups together. Sometimes it's disrespectful.
Very lazy.
Sometimes it is, but then there are other times where it's like, you know, we are actually united in this cause. And
okay, fair enough.
You know, it's not. We're not gonna just name everybody. We'll just be like, hey, you know, everybody that's kind of like black and brown is kind of in on this thing right now. Type of shit. But it is diminishing to call someone an African American, in my opinion, because Africa's not a country, it's a continent. Chinese people don't call themselves Asian American. They call themselves Chinese or Chinese American.
And it's wild that they're not talking about America as both continents. They're talking about specifically the United States of America, Bingo. One country.
Nobody says a South American. You know?
Are you a South African? Yeah.
Do you feel what I'm saying?
Oh, no, I get it. I've always thought it was I always thought it was also like the fact that most are born here in America, so they're not really from Africa to America. So it always felt a little funny to me.
It's diminishing, and it's like a way of avoiding the dirty history of the word black and the fact that it only exists in a cultural context because a whole group of people had their history stolen from them based upon them being darker.
I had a friend that was Venezuelan. She was like, "You're not African American." That's what she was telling me. You're not African American. That's not even a thing. Like African American, bro. Like
It's a continent. It is a continent. There are several countries on the continent, and they all have different cultures.
yeah.
This is my opinion. I don't think everyone feels this way, but it always bugs me out when I watch people say African American and they say it lower than the rest of their sentence, or they look around before they say it. You know what I'm talking about? Yes, we were talking about the African Americans. And they like speed through it so that they could get to the next word that they're going to say. As they're like wading through a very uncomfortable puddle within their conversation. And I don't
Like sand.
I don't like that shit, man. It just bothers the shit out of me.
That shit weird. That's some weird shit, boy.
Because
it
it is uncomfortable. Those words, it's like saying penis. Or
Yeah.
vagina. Like, it's like, hey, is my mom around?
You might
Like,
say it lower than the rest of your sentence.
it's like, I'm not trying to,
This is my opinion. I think Stephen A.
Wow.
Smith, Stephen African American
Stephen
Smith.
American. That's what the A stands for.
Yeah.
Stephen African American
Stephen
Smith.
African American Smith got on TV, said racist shit, apologized to one group of people, and did not see validity in apologizing to another because he was being diminishing. Specifically.
And has yet to communicate otherwise.
I'm bugged. I'm mad. That's my thought. That's my opinion. Any opinions, thoughts, or should we move on?
I think it's a series of unfortunate events, bro.
I agree. Lemony
I just
Snicket.
want him to, like, I just want, what I'll say is, I just hope that somebody sits him down and explains these things to him in a way. Like, he has a younger nephew or somebody. It's like, hey.
Now, people gonna call him. They gonna call him.
Stephen Avery or whatever. What is his
Stephen
real name?
African American.
Stephen
He's gonna slaughter his name, too.
Stephen Afem Smith. Okay, I'm sorry. Do people say that? Stephen Afem Smith.
Stephen Angry Smith.
Yeah.
We just
Stephen
gonna slaughter his name.
Agitated Smith.
Agitated. That's the best one. Stephen Agitated Smith.
That's quite good. Stephen Agitated Smith is funny.